There's been no check. There's been no consequence for this abuse for the Justice Department or the FBI or everyone else involved here. You have Democrats in Georgia about to indict Trump, it looks like. You have the Democrats in New York indict Trump. And what they're trying to do is freeze the Republican Party in the run-up to the election by saying not only is the candidate and the former president, but people around him, the consultant class, your campaign lawyers, activists involved in advising you as to how to handle election disputes, they're subject to being thrown in jail if this is the case, that they end up getting indicted. And I think that's probably going to be true. You know, I testified to the grand jury back in February. They sent the FBI knocking at our door, my home, in November. And, you know, what did Judicial Watch do? Well, we were out there publicly talking about how the Mar-a-Lago case was a sham since they changed their position on presidential records from the Clinton-Sockdorf case that we had been involved in and changed it completely to go after Trump. Came up with new rules. And so complete retaliation. And then they spent 3 hours questioning me about emails and such about presidential electors. And I told them, I said, well, I don't understand what's going on here. Democrats challenged and had alternative slates of electors in 1960. So I guess it's different for Republicans.
And Nixon chose to ignore the certified electors. Instead, he chose the Democrat alternate slate to be counted, and they were counted.
Yeah. So, and on top of that, I told the grand jury, and I had 3 prosecutors questioning me. So it was a triple team on me. And they were, I told them that I was concerned in the summer of 2020, because I read about it in the New York Times, that Democrats were planning threats of secession and civil war if the Electoral College went towards Trump. And I said, well, you know, of course, obviously that isn't going to be investigated by this Justice Department. And what I saw from this grand jury experience that I had was I was in a political argument with these prosecutors about First Amendment protected activity. And I was just sitting there thinking, why am I being questioned about all this? Is a political debate.
Why did they question you? Why did they call you in?
I was harassment and retaliation. Judicial Watch is the #1 litigator against the Justice Department. We criticized the Justice Department. We sued for records about their abuse of Trump. They know who we are. They know who I am. And we were the top voice in calling them out. And it drove them crazy. And of course, the big accusation was, well, Trump was listening to Tom Fitton. What, you know, it's just all sorts of, imagine if the head of the ACLU was called in because of the work he was doing at the ACLU. That's what they did to Judicial Watch. And of course, we don't get the protection and media support that the ACLU gets. But frankly, our work is more consequential. That's why the Justice Department was harassing and abusing us. So what I saw happen at that grand jury was abuse. And I'll tell you one quick story. At one point, the prosecutor said to me, so are you going to talk about this to anyone, what happened here? I said, I don't know. I said, it's, you know, I have to talk to our lawyers, but that's privilege. Are you going to talk about this to anyone? I said, I don't know. It's publicly out there. Are you going to talk about this to anyone? I said, I don't know. And he said, well, oh, by the way, I thought you're allowed to talk about it. And I said, you know, frankly, given your questions, it was pretty intimidating and chilling. So this guy was trying to get me to swear under oath to something I didn't have to do, which was to keep quiet on this abuse of power that I was facing. So I saw this guy was trying to corner me into swearing under oath that I wasn't going to talk. So that was, in my view, outrageous prosecutorial abuse. I'm still ticked about it, and I hope the courts take care of it in the end. I have no surprise that Trump was indicted after what I saw there.